Yes. Face tracking is good. Headset is nice and secure. Yes. Placed as everything should be. Whew. Wish I start the stream with a hydrate, because I'm actually extra thirsty. Would have thought. Hi there, Fluffy. Aha. I see you're working on some Unity stuff. So, what are you fixing this time? The smooth talking film noir, dude. I'm just me, I'm Gip. Hi. Good evening, boss, says Matthew. Ah, hi, Matthew. Hello, Beth. So glad to see my friends here on stream online. Gosh, to be graced by the presence. Pascal, Knox, Striker. Surprisingly active in the server now. Hello, Mike and Nick. Can't quite get the angles right. Also, Vesper's here, chat. As your favorite mod is ever so present. We are... well... we're downtown, chat. That's the usual. It's been a while since we've been here. Wait, why did the mic change? What do you mean? Do I sound bad?
If I sound bad, that's a given.
No,
I'm
it's
using
me.
a pro microphone. Oops.
Oh, ew. How about now? It should be significantly better. I was wondering. It was using my Quest Pro's mic. No wonder. There we go.
Oops.
Gosh. It sounded really bad. I didn't even notice. Hello, Livo. Of course, good luck at work, Striker. You go mingle with the others. Oh, that's what the mic sounds like. Good to know. The Quest Pro definitely is not the best in the microphone department of things. It needs work.
Yeah, I went from the Quest 2 to the Quest Pro myself. The mic was really good in the Quest 2, at least according to Gab. I don't quite remember, but yeah, the Quest Pro mic, jack of all trades headset when it comes to face tracking in general, and, well, visual quality. Given that it's got pancake lenses and not the frontal ones, if that's the correct term. But the mic's also pretty bleh.
I think the microphone is the weakest point of the MetaQuest Pro. But at least it's a headset that I say it just works, and that's what's important. Oh, is that Glomps I see? My goodness, how are you, old buddy, old green itchy pal? I thought you might have been sick. No, it's just my headset being a real bot. Hello, Mystic Rook. I was wondering too what was up with that, because I can see in OBS the levels, right? Whenever I speak, it goes from nothing to all the way to 0, and it was speaking. It said, there's something wrong with my microphone. Good catch, chat. Thanks. How is it going? Yesterday, I took it as a day of recuperation. AKA, I slept around, I don't know, 12, 14 hours total in a 24-hour period. Vesper slept even longer. How long was your thing?
16 hours total yesterday.
So I got reduced the fistbone size in your glasses. You're grabbing it accidentally. Anywho, yes.
Yep.
16 hours. Gotcha. Now that's quite the amount of sleep if you ask me. But then again, for the past month, I haven't been able to sleep properly. By properly, I mean I've been sleeping at 4-hour segments, and then another 4 or 3 hours, sometime later during the day. I think it's what we call biphasic sleep. It's not ideal. But yes, yesterday instead of playing games, I was playing the mapping campaign. Sleeping way longer than me. I think I need it, Mystic. Oh, gosh, catch up on much needed rest. Yay for longer sleeps. Your body needs it probably. 100%. I was just blaming my connection, says Pascal. Oh, it's not your connection, it's the microphone. It's absolutely terrible. I hope the. Never mind, let me stop the train of thought. Trot. What? Whatever helps you sleep longer, says Mystic. We needed to work its magic again. I know. I'm slowly working my way towards getting the proper amount of sleep per day. Unlike a certain. Well, not just one, but several members in my community who's clearly not having their forte when it comes to getting the required hours of sleep. I see you, Mr. Mitzi. You too, Doran. Gosh, yesterday I wanted to play some games. I've recently gotten this game called Aliens Fireteam Elite, and me, Beth, and Fluffy were having a good time with it. Yes, that did not happen. I just went to bed instead. Have you tried melatonin gums, by the way? They really help with sleep. Oh, yes, I do. The thing is, it's a 50-50 thing. Even with half the dosage at 5 mg, I often end up with nightmares. It's not good. It's as if it gives me terrible anxiety. I pop it in, and then half an hour later, I'm like, did I forget to pay the bills or this and that? Anxiety, it's terrible. I came and started playing Arc Raiders. Well, have fun. Gerg says, man, I love planning to do something and then just passing out. Maybe passing out is the thing you were planning on doing. It definitely was mine. You can only ignore the call of sleepiness by your body for so long until you start caving in the moment your head hits the pillow. Why, if it isn't Litz, a pleasure to see ya. As usual, Instagram this and Instagram that. Delicious. We were exploring what today? Indian food, was it? The culinary delights of the cook being immersed in the very soup that he's selling. I love the content, Gab says Happy Python. Keep making people smile. Gosh, you make it sound like I'm such a wonderfully good soul. But that one sub will make me a so. Thank you so much, Happy Python. I appreciate your kind words. Making people smile. I don't know, I think I come off as mildly abrasive with all the real talk that I bring up on streams. I try not to chase clout, but I can't help it whenever I see individuals that lack this thing called common sense up their noggin. Mm-mm. Where did you find me, by the way? Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. I refuse to call it X. But the realness is refreshing as heck. That's exactly right. I just try to be as grounded as possible. Common sense is a gift, and with each passing day, a rarity that is growing. I found you on TikTok, says Happy Python. Ah, the lands of TikTok. Ah, yes. For real, says Shunki. I don't know. It's just. How do I say this? The things we do here on stream, Vesper, isn't all that common now that I think about it. It's simple, it's just conversations and, well, topics which are grounded in real life. That's why I call my
Yeah,
streams
true.
little slices of life. Both in topic and in composition, visually. I always try to be a scene in a bigger part of in a bigger world. Hello, Groothy. Knox says it's sad because I used to live up to the name. Sorry for speaking in French. No, it's okay. A word or two is no harm. Hmm. Good evening, Waffle. Gosh. You know, it's funny, Vesper. We always find ourselves loitering right outside Chef's restaurant. They're here in, well, here in town. I'm surprised he's not mad at us.
I mean, even if we load her in there, I mean, we're not
Look
really
at that.
buying anything, are we?
That's the restaurant right there. It's hard to see because of the, the GoPro view, but yeah. Hello, dumber name. Uncommon sense. Motti says, "Hey Geb, it's been a while. It's been a while by what? I'm not sure about which time frame you're pertaining to. A day or two, a week, a month." Mystic says, "Good point. Why don't y'all go ahead and say hi to Chef? Maybe later, Mystic. We're kinda settled in, and so far I haven't seen Lipstick 14 anywhere, and we wanna keep it that way. So it doesn't run over my toes or my tail." Your stream schedule when it starts is so random and surprising. Well, I made it the point to go start quote unquote earlier because I got a lot of sleep yesterday. I feel just as recharged. Normally, I try and chase more hours on the pillow with my eyes closed prior to starting stream. But alas, here we are earlier because I've already done that all in advance. Let's say I am beyond devastated. I dropped my jar of blood sausage. You can pick it off the ground and go give it the vinegar treatment with chili spices. I'm sure the germs will not be happy and evacuate said sausage in very short time. Then you can eat it again. How was life for you? Well, yesterday was uneventful. It was predominantly sleeping. And. Yes. Oh, right. So apparently I was behind on rent. I don't know why. They did not clarify that I needed to pay double on August when I moved into the apartment. So I'm almost $400 down. God damn it. What? I did not want to argue with the landlord. I'd rather have peace of mind that I'm A-okay in my place, which I plan on staying for at least 10 years. Yes. Damn. So close to the Africa twin. But now we're a couple of steps further away now. Speedy, says Mystic. Hi, look at him rolling with a big smile on his face. He is nowhere to be seen, which is good. Any robots with wheels means they can. Speedy! Over my toes.
Worst that we have to worry about right now is that cat that's running around, but that's about it.
The cats are fine. They can step on my legs for all I care. They're very light.
Yeah. Unlike a robot.
Yes, unlike a certain robot. Well, see what I mean? See what I mean? He almost ran over my toes. You be careful. There's cats here every now and then, chat.
Make money.
Whoa!
You good?
Yeah, no. I mean, yes. Absolutely. It seems Beth went and ran over my landlord with his somewhat functional defender and got my money back. Thank you so much.
Damn. Thank you, Beth.
My goodness. No, thanks a lot. I was surprised too. I was like, I got an email. Like, I always pay a couple of days before my due date, right? And then they said, "Ooh, by the way, you still need to pay this and that." What do you mean? I paid on August. And the contract says this and that. It's like, no, that was just the security deposit and the 2 months advance. But then after the 2 months advance, you also need to pay a month's worth of rent on top of that. So it's 4, 4, 4, and another 4. So the another 4 was what I paid last night. It's like, ugh, talk about throwing a wrench at my plans. Beth says the government finally paid me, so YOLO. Yes, we are back to
Sweet.
having 2 servings of rice instead of 1. Thank you. It means the government of Lithuania is a entity that I will hear from soon enough. I hope they're doing great. Trouble in Europe and everything. I'm curious, how long did it take to make you your avatar? Ask. Happy Phyton. I didn't make this per se. This is a kit bash. The base that you see is the Hydragia by Tokyozilla. And then I mixed in other avies in. It was a kit bash. The kit bashing, the refining took me probably, because I'm not the best, maybe 2 weeks of work. I had to revamp the face tracking and everything. I was using hand tours. Hand tours is great. But for my use case scenario, I needed it a bit more expressive. So, yes. It involved a lot of hours of looking in the mirror and then smile. Okay, which facial muscles move? Frown. Yes. Earlier, I had Blender open to actually improve this even further, because I noticed when a person talks, a male one in particular, their Adam's apple, their esophagus moves ever so slightly up and down during certain phonetical sounds. So I was going to add that. But a fever had grasped my health earlier. Yes, chat, about 4 hours ago, I woke up with a headache and a fever. I don't know why. But thanks to some flu medicine that I took, and I'm feeling better. At least, maybe I'm just ignoring the symptoms. But better all the same. What's this? Bad life advice from Mochi. What would be a quality that you would have for the last 2 special holidays? Thanksgiving and Christmas. What would be a quality that I would have? It's a little hard to answer. Because you're asking for a definitive about me, but you're asking for advice. You may need to rephrase your question so I understand it better. I'm most excited about the December 2 patch. It is probably going to drop on that date with regards to Helldivers. Finally gonna see that stealth warband, according to rumors, and I hope you have your medals ready. Vesper surely is looking forward to whatever's gonna drop too. We do miss doing submissions together.
Yeah, we stopped playing for a short while because, well, lack of content, lack of updates. The last time we played, I was very rusty. So I kept dying. This guy had to keep reviving me.
That's okay. I think we were playing with, was it Beth and Axiom or Fluffy? I don't know. We usually run
We
around with the
didn't.
guys.
Yeah, yeah. Last time it was just you and I playing, though.
Oh yeah, what we had public matchmaking on, but nobody was joining. We were in some backwater moon, and yeah, there were no divers present to assist us. We made it though, super hell dive, heck yeah.
Yes.
You gotta knock the rust off, says Beth. Using high temperature pyromancy, I assume, if it's you. Matthew says use WD-40. I know, right? The joints. Beth is very familiar with the noises on the hinge. D10 bots, let's go. You know what? As, how should I say this? Therapeutic as it is to go squash the Terminids, maybe have enemies that actually shoot back for once will work. There has to be a reason why the next warband is extremely stealth focused. All of the suppressed weapon and stealth armors. It means it's an adversary that you don't want the attention of. What's this? Blue says, to be honest, right now I'm grabbing medals to get the dynamite. I've noticed this thing where I seem to be getting double medals. Not a clue why. Don't complain whenever you see extra contraband in your reward stash. You take it as silent prizes, quiet victories. It's like having a vending machine. You twist it, you get your drink, and then another right after. Would I complain? No. Gosh. The less you talk about it, the less chance of it disappearing. Okay? Remember, the rule of shush. Are you sure you plan on staying on VR chat after stream today? By being graced with your presence, Litz, of course. I plan on catching up on some good VR chat time. There is this map that me and Vesper want to show you. We haven't explored it because it would be better with friends. I gotta go for a bit, says Blue. Good luck, Blue. See you around. Bev says, the Ministry of Truth may execute your goldfish if you find contraband. That is why we keep shush. We keep stealthy and quiet. How a species unknown? It's an absolute hidden gem. For a game that costs, well, on my end, $5, it has one of the most cinematic feels when it comes to spaceborne horrors. There is, derelict ships, power offs, fluctuations, dead crew members. You have to find out what is lurking the halls. You have to go deep into a still running engine that could turn you to atoms. It's fun, it's great. I just wish there was more content, but remember, the game is at its 0.1 version. The click. This is one entity. This is one entity that makes you look at him. In order to survive, all you gotta do is not look at him. But there's this interesting mechanic where the entity will try and fly in front of you and pull your view towards it, and you have to constantly fight it. First time I've ever encountered anything in the game. Genius. Hi, Darren.
Yes. Plus, if it got me screaming and, well, muttering random stuff
Yes.
because I was that scared, it's good.
Oh, yeah. The team has yet to see that one entity, the messed up looking one. The thing that made me and Fluffy and Vesper run. That was, God.
So, yeah, the don't crouch one.
The don't crouch one, yes, precisely. So yeah, species unknown, chat. That's really fun. You really make me want to get the game. I mean, you can. It's like $10 on your side. It was 5 on mine.
It's on sale too.
It's super
Last I
cheap for
checked.
what it gives. It's really the experience. We can play it if you want. Let's.
Oh, so Matthew got it.
It seems that Matthew has it too.
Come
This
on,
would be
Litz.
interesting. So we're gonna have Litz, we're gonna have Matthew, 2 new crew members, and us who's been to 2 days worth of the horror. Sounds like a win-win. Quite the experience. Hello, Nanashi. Doran says, Fluffy just helped me fix the shadery issues I was having with my Abby all this time. You mean where you were turning black? Full stop.
Light was not hitting him correctly. That's all.
Precisely.
Didn't say that there was. Yeah, it wasn't. Wasn't it just a weird issue of, well, you were hitting him with the lights, but it wasn't properly lighting him up?
Yeah, something like that. In the photos, Dorian would always appear like underwear under a spotlight. You see, would have one side that's properly illuminated, whites, 255s in values. The other side would be absolute black, zeros, in the level department. Good contrast, but a bit too much. I should have said a globe. Was it underwear? Anyway, yeah. Sounds like a win-win. Oh. I'm also in range of heart attack, but not being able to shoot back makes it better. Yes, it's called Species Unknown. Absolute hidden gem of a game. Like everything else is polished, it's great. It just lacks content. It's not janky by any means. All the animations from flying to undocking, it really gives a strong cinematic feel. Hello, Draco. Got a hiccup. Okay. Seems Gurgler has attempted to join the server. I wonder if they can crack the also easy password. Nope, it's not the Shadow Guild. I hope Santa comes this year, says Doran. Using an air freshener as a stand-in. You know the little pine tree cutouts you have in the mirror hanging in the car, swaying? Yes. That's funny. Cyrex, who is first time chatting, asks, from your sci-fi interest, have you played Earbloss? You mean that crew game? I've heard about it. People have told me to try it with friends, but I have not actually. Vincent says, I found you on Instagram. Your voice caught me. It's like a lamp. Gosh, with you being a moth, I hope you don't burn by flying too close. Or at least that's what I observe. Now, speaking of flying too close, I recently posted a video on my social media which was, what would be the most likely item or thing that would befit me if it were to be a sponsorship? And of course, shared between Instagram and TikTok, they say the BD. Do you know what the BD is? The bad dragon. I'm like,
Oh,
you do know I'm not that sort of creator, chat. Of all things to suggest. But I just laughed it off as a joke. Of all people.
imagine if you actually got a sponsor.
That look if BD, like imagine this, like Bad Dragon says, Geb, you know what? It's funny. You are the complete opposite of the demographic of our products. But that's what I think will sell. I will offer you $10,000 for a month's worth of promoting it each stream. How am I even gonna do that? Feeling lonely?
What's TOS?
Ever wanted a stool that was only reliant on one leg instead of four? Well, I got you covered. Yeah, something. I have to make up some bull crap in order to sell that. It's funny. Remember I think last week or the other week, I was telling chat that one of the sponsors that approached me was for this sildenafil thing. They were telling me to promote Viagra. And it was a proper business email too, with the costings and what I needed to do. I'm like, what? What? How am I even going to promote that? I'm not joking. I'm not joking. It's in my business email. If you notice, on my social media platforms, on my bio, I have a business email up there, and that's where they contacted me. I know it's it's fun.
Not to mention, he's not the target audience.
I am not the target. Ooh, wow! I'm not the target audience, chat.
Oops.
Uh-oh. Hello.
Oops.
Oh, right, because I'm in the side which has my
Far too young.
trackers being occluded. Oh well. What's this? They must know something we don't know about your demographic. I don't know, chat. How would one even implement that in VR chat content? Absolutely, I have no idea. And then I noticed it was. The funny thing, one of the requirements, you have to be 55 years old or about to use it. And I said, okay, so this is one of those automated emails, probably.
Yeah, I was about to say, as I was saying earlier, this guy here, much too young.
I'm not that old, chat. And yes, I can still flex my muscles with no problem, okay? Ay, ay, ay. Leave Up says, I certainly know people under 55 who've used it. I mean, I think they sell an adjacent thing here that's over the counter in 7-Eleven. In the Philippines, you have this product called Robust. It's this little pill you need to take an hour before you go engage in activities, and then you're going to get the might of champions for the evening or day. Sure is hit with the surprising with the young folk. It's called robust. I'm not joking. So, apologies if that's what you heard, Panda. I'm just telling Chad about this little email I got about sponsors. It's funny, isn't it, Let's. Yeah, and it's the funny thing. It's the Viagra that's not like the oral form. It looks like this thing, this inhaler. You're supposed to stick it up your nose and then like, oh yeah, and then you're instantly game. I think what the con of the and the pro of the product was that it's the instant delivery. Yeah, yeah, it was interesting to say the least. It wasn't the pill, no, it's this little nose thing, the nasal thing. What if they had you make like a Viagra? I would sell it with all my heart as long as I'm compensated appropriately. Oh, so funny. Test it first. If I accepted, I would have been mailed like trials of it and said, that's not gonna work with the content I do. So yes, a little funny thing. You get free trials. Yeah. Lee says like a Truman Show kind of moment. Just smile at the camera and like, for all my Via uses, I only use this XYZ product. Gosh, what would be a good slogan for it? The only time life should be hard is when you're in the bedroom, or some stupid slogan like that. Did you ever want to stand while being laid down in bed at the same time? Well, this product is for you. You will be the perfect L angle, champ. Feeling soft? Let's change that. You may not grow a spine, but at least you can grow something not the OS that I can't mention on stream. Hello, Gilly. Helicopter. They see this and they really want to sponsor you now. The only thing that should be soft in a man's body should be his heart. Everything else should be hard. This product is for you, guaranteed. Life got you down. Well, I got just the thing to make you go perk up. Entertain her like those clowns blowing those little long balloons that you can twist and tie. Okay, wait, maybe not that. That's. This is Geb taking the Viagra sponsorship. I don't know. I would have a very Geb spin to promoting the product. Actually, any product. It's weird. There is not one single sponsor that has approached me yet, and I understand that it's difficult. But I think I can make a pretty decent sales pitch. Practicing for sponsors. Gosh. Just send them this clip and be like, "Are you sure this is what you want sponsoring you?" Well, you look at that. One inhale. Oh boy. Up and ready to go. Wanna make grandma feel young again? Well, here's just the thing for you, pal. Let's put her smile back to her wrinkly old face. Be the man she fell in love with 80 years ago, Chad. Were you once the mighty oak, now all withered down to a river reed? Well, we can correct that, good sir. Yeah, Matthew says Dr. Kempos presents the Viagra sniff, the fragrance that raises expectations. Yeah, I wish I had that disappearing gimmick. Don't worry, Vest, that's why I wasn't panning to you.
Thing is, I don't even have anything to share about that. Just yeah, I'm not the target audience.
Oh, look, you had to be 55 and above to even be considered for the sponsorship. That's the thing. Try
Yeah,
not to
but
die in my
also
station.
I am just I'm a bit of an oddity in the furry fandom, huh? A woman with a man, not mentally unstable.
That's
I'm
true,
not the
Chen.
target audience for that product.
Yep. But then again, did you know that there are a lot of young men out there that actually have a hard time getting their weapons ready whenever battle is presented? Truly a travesty. You would always think that it's an old man's problem not being able to raise the flag during the morning. So sad. I remember Fred telling me that, gosh, whenever I try and water my plants, it's like a garden hose that just runs out of water midway. I said, well, damn. Hello, Norval. Oh, Geb is over 55. No, I'm not. That's why I'm not legible for the thing. Be the pillar of your household once more, right? Gotta have those soldiers stand at attention. Hi, Zoxy. Whoa, what is this track?
I'm so sorry, I can't take that seriously.
I need to add this
I
track.
wanted to sponsor you for Viagra.
I don't know.
With
They
safe for
did,
work
and
content, and
they
you
they
are much younger than their target audience.
DK, mm. Of all the VR chat content creators that doesn't like show lewd stuff, I was the one approached with the performance enhancing things. I'm absolutely flattered though. Life shouldn't always be hard, but there are times where you need to be. Thanks. What?
Okay. I can't with this.
I don't know. It's the thing. Oh, yep. See that little puck keeps on rolling over my. Yes. Imagine me many decades in the future, probably with wider hair. Hey, Jet! So I finally got that Viagra sponsorship, and man, is it effective. Mm. Oh, God. I feel so young again. Harder than the rest of my body. Look at me pick up grandma with no hands. So yes, that's gonna be really funny. So.
That's terrible.
It's just like, hey, no hand.
Diabolical. Oh god.
Oh god, that would be the perfect advert. Just carrying grandma, like slow dancing and everything, and then you go to the camera, right?
Oh god.
And then you just do this. You let go with your hands, but somehow grandma's still like floating, right? Sildenafil chat, it works when you need it. My goodness. So, right? You may not be able to lift her with your frail old arms, but don't forget you have a third one. You're an amputee, a veteran with one leg gone. Well, you don't need a cane no more or a crutch for 6 hours straight, guaranteed. VRB buying some not perfect ad. That would be the perfect ad, right? Give me that, give me that. Yes, Matthew. You know those funny, quirky commercials on TV, right? Where you least expect it. The best ads are the one with a bit of humor. Yeah, precisely. That's what sells the product. Makes the customer, well, the potential customer smile. This is like white noise while I'm cooking in peace. Ah, yes.
The podcast you listen to while doing all of your mundane daily chores.
Right? Ever considered doing tele-shopping ads? Oh my god, the shop. That number again, 890-2T45. If you call within the next 30 minutes, you will get not one, but two, but a complete set of extra sharpening. What do they call it again? The thing? The whetstones for the knives, yes. Whenever I watch the TV shop, I could have sworn they only sold like 4 products. What the show's been running forever. It's always that damn vacuum that can carry the bowling ball, the chop-o-matic thing, which chops anything, and then there's the chamois, the cloth that absorbs so much water, and then the tape that you could just slap on things. That's what Alex thinks. What? Something fell. What's that?
Oh no, something fell.
Something fell. I knocked something off, Chatway. That was my camera.
Help! I can't really do an old man voice, but help! I've fallen and I can't get up. That infomercial for her
I
little
can't get
Life
up.
Lord necklace thing.
But I know something that can. And then you like proceed to spin grandma like a helicopter, like that. Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh dear God.
Oh my goodness. What's this? Let's hope the volume was not too loud for other people to hear this advertisement. There's a good reason why my apartment is soundproof. So I can say all my verbal shenanigans, no problem, A-OK. Draco says this stream has placed very interesting images in my head, right? Oh, that funny, quirky commercials. Let her relive her inner childhood by bringing her to the Ferris wheel, right at the comfort of your bedroom. Just gonna go. Anyway, we're milking the joke. Moving on. But yes, the Super Bowl commercials, they were fantastic back then. Really funny, very creative. The meeting so far is hard. The jokes are no longer dry anymore. There must be some grandma adjacent product. I mean, grandpa has all the fun stuff. Beth says breakdancing. All your arms and legs go up, but you're still spinning. Yes, it's called a top. So yeah, chat. I do. Uh oh. Chat, can you hear me? VR chat hiccup for a while. So I was wondering, what product, what sponsorships do you think would befit me? Reading through my social media, one mentioned rice cookers, rice, bread mints, according to Litza, shampoo, toothpaste. Get a beaming smile. Like,
Given your simple palette, probably like some sort of RGB computer setup too. You know. All it is, I can't get up.
anything but RGB. Wow.
RGB.
Oh, we're getting hiccups. Oh no. Oh, it's so bad.
Cloudflare is having a stroke, okay?
God.
Don't
Really?
sweat it.
Is that gonna affect my stream too? I hope not.
I mean,
it's weird if I like free.
know for a fact it affected the yeah.
Oh yeah,
mean, it
early.
affects if yeah. Like it affects affected Twitch earlier. I know that for sure because yesterday I packed my Kai's stream before I subsequently conked out. And yeah, every once in a blue, the text would glitch, placed by boxes of random colors.
Oh, I see. Yes, I did hear that half the internet went down. Half the internet, chat. Imagine that. Something our whole world is reliant on. All of a sudden, poof. Lee says 9 out of 10 dentists suggest Oral-B now. Geb does too. I would very much promote toothbrushes and toothpaste, no problem.
Mm-hmm. Yes, first this year was AWS and then Cloudflare.
Hello, T Billy. Welcome to the stream. Lots of Cloudflare hiccups these days. Surprisingly, no issues here yet. I ran into issues. I was trying to access Maker Lab. Maker Lab is the online library for models uploaded for 3D printing under the Bamboo Lab umbrella, and I couldn't log in. Normally, it does this verifying your human thing automatically, and then, yeah. I was trying to print extra stuff for my knuckles, my grips. You know, I have a hypothesis about why I got sick earlier. Recently, a friend told me about you haven't gone out in so long. You only see the sun every few days. What you have is what you call cabin fever. And lo and behold, I did wake up with fever earlier. Why do I have cabin fever? I haven't been able to do my weekly or every other week motorcycle rides out of the city. Before, that used to be my mental refresher, my touching grass per se. But alas, that has been pretty absent. Man. I hope I can get that bike soon enough. It's more than just a machine for transportation. It's an instrument of. Well, it's an instrument of healing the soul. I once told Litz this over Discord and Vesper. It means a lot to me to be riding on the saddle and just going out of town, seeing the sights, the trees, the fresh breeze that doesn't smell like Toyota exhaust smoke. It's more than a machine, it's a way of life. It's cheaper than a therapist, that's for sure. Well, per hour at least. Geb, while out riding, do you listen to music? Anything in particular? I listen to everything in my Spotify. It's weird. It's a mix of video game OSTs and whatnot. I surprisingly don't listen to heavy metal or any of the sort. More of like techno or, weirdly enough, trance. Trance house. Cult of the Lamb surprisingly really fits. Jazz too, sometimes. Yeah, big boop. Just doing that all the time. That's really nice. I'm a big fan of techno, Chad. It's and all the 2000s techno. I haven't heard of the Cult of the Lamb music, says Lee. But it is really good. Really good. Tech, no. More like tech, yes. Correct. You would enjoy my riding playlist then. Then, Fluffy, how about you slide into my DMs a playlist I can listen to? If and when I get the bike, if my projections are correct, it got thrown off because of the damn landlord, but got corrected by Beth. Thank you so much. If my projections are correct, I should be able to get it Q1 of next year. That's me being hopeful and really cutting down on the extra stuff that I need to spend on. Only one AC running, all the extra lights are off, and reducing my meals to twice a day instead of 3. I think that's a fair compromise. I'm used to it. I wonder what I can do for Christmas that's special, chat. Something you want to see, something you want me to tackle, to do, to talk about. I'm open for suggestions. Beth can sign the. If Beth was my neighbor, I would. He would be the first guy I would visit. I'm like, ding dong. Hey, Beth, look, I got the thing. Let's go for a spin. Yes. Oh, like signs? No, 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 no. It's so. Don't pressure the man. He's already giving so much. If not Q1, then Q2. I hope so. If I am not deceased, I haven't passed away by then because of cabin fever, because I don't get my throttle therapy, then yes. God. Quarter 3 with no bike? I don't know, man. I might be dead. It's that bad. It's that bad. One brilliant idea I have, Vesper, is when I get the bike, I'm going to do like what Fluffy did. Let's see if we can afford a little camera, and then I will go stream me riding the first ride with it going out of town, right into the mountains and whatnot. I think that would be fun and cool. Provided I don't go fly off a cliff because I was distracted trying to read chat. Like, what's this? Thank you so much for the. And then I become a statistic. I keep on knocking over the camera with. I mean, going off a cliff is gonna be a first for me. You know, all my crashes before were all pretty much level ground or very slight inclines. I was airborne for a few seconds in this one crash, but again, a kind old lady nursed me back to health on the spot. You may have to invest in some stunt suspension. I know, right? The Africa Twins always come with really soft suspension. If only there was readily available aftermarket springs that were stiffer. Then again, I did say to Bev that I would not jump the machine. So I will take it easier this time. It's no 250cc bike, that's for sure. Hello, Howler. Master of the helping hands with friends. Do not jump. I will not jump the 200, almost 300 kilogram bike. Don't worry. I've seen somebody crazy enough to ride the Goldwing and jump it though. I winced each time the frame would like clog each time it landed. Like, poor Goldwing. It was the old one though. Backup parachute just in case. Also, good evening. Hello, Wask. Yeah, it might be a bit heavier. Just a teeny bit. A teeny bit. You're not Tom Cruise. 100% I'm not. Dude, have you seen the one where they turned the GSXR 1000 and yes, from I have them found. I loved it. An inline 4, redlining in dirt all the time. Did you see the chick, the rooster tail on that thing? I pity the guy who's behind because it would be the equivalent of having a face full of shrapnel from a grenade flying your direction. I'm freaking hungry, but BF is not back yet. It's time to eat other meat. Let's. Wait, that came off wrong. It's time to eat meals that would not be a problem whether he's there or not. There we go. No homo. Yeah, no homo. Don't worry. I may go and flirt with my male friends, but that's it. It's just for the fun of it. There's no romance or anything more than that. Just bros being bros.
Gab's the kind of guy where his masculinity isn't easily threatened, so something as simple as jokingly flirting with friends, it's really no big issue.
Yes, and your microphone sounds extra thin. What happened?
I have no clue.
Maybe I need to increase your voice. Try speaking, Vesp.
Hello?
Okay, there we go.
2. Is it just my microphone acting up?
It's all good. I just raised your voice.
Okay.
Lit says I am chomping on some nuts. I hope it doesn't have the
You know what you
skin.
do in your spare time?
Now we know. Honey and salt coated. So you like lift, and then you put salt and paint honey. Yeah, I'm talking about the big chestnuts, by the way. Blue says, of course, acting gay with the homies is the straightest thing you can do. Precisely. I like teasing my friends, especially my gay friends. Man, what is this Sims music? Hello, Ard. A pleasure to see you. Welcome to the stream. Sims music is based, right? This particular track from Sims 1, I will not forget. It's with the piano. Hello, Marnage. Man, The Sims, huh? I remember playing this game called Inzoy. It was this Korean sim, super The Sims. Surprisingly nice, very compute intensive. I still have a copy of Sims 1 in my collection, but can't play because disk drives don't exist anymore. I'm sure there are a lot in the bargain bins. Or you could get the ISOs. Out external disk drives, pretty cheap nowadays, precisely. What, $10 or somewhere along those lines? Should be cheap, promise. Man. Sorry, I had to do a little bit of a stretch. Seem to be sunken in more than usual. Lisa, sadly, modern PCs don't come with coffee holders anymore. All disk drives make good death rays. Death rays? What does ISTG mean, Lee? I've encountered that acronym before. I never got the meaning though. ISTG? The Instagram? I swear to God, and now Geb is smarter by one brain cell. Okay. Now I know. I don't know. I've never been much of a user of acronyms. I just complete my sentences. Interesting. I see that. Working.
Yeah, it's good that at least I don't use a lot of acronyms either, because, like, I'm doing classes and all that, right? Professors told me, like, oh yeah, in recent years, there have been more and more students that just use acronyms or shortened abbreviation versions of words, but they need to use full words to get full credits on whatever English assignment they're doing for this class.
What Vesper said.
It's English class. You're supposed to be writing with proper grammar, punctuation, spelling, etc. I don't see how it's so
No, mommy, I'm fixing the
difficult to
camera.
not use abbreviations. Yeah, no worries.
There we go. We gotta see like your face properly. And the important bits, the wardrobe. Yes. You see that? You see that white gap, chat? That little border that separates Earth from heaven. Anyway, let's go back up here. There we go. Nice portrait shot. Lisa, I also feel that fee. I may have used such slang IRL. I like hair down Vesper, says Marnins. Same here. She just had it up that one time. But now she's back to how she is. Nice, luscious, gorgeous. Absolutely. Yes, the vision of loveliness. Vesper War. Hi there, Cameron. Nice to see you, Breadbox. Haller says, back in the day when I need to stretch more, a one-sentence answer into 3 paragraphs. That's true. Because before, essays were like word count based. How about you, Vance? What about nowadays?
Depends on the teacher, the professor, I mean, but it really just depends, honestly. Like, some will just say, oh, you don't need a specific word count for an assignment. But others, like, say, my biology professor and my psychology professor have strict requirements for the word count that you need. So yeah, like 300 for this question, 100 for this one, 200 for this one, and well, you can tell it's a lot of yappage. But then again, I think that's just what the professors want to see, you know?
Gotcha! So there we go. Essays by Vesper Starman.
Oh, okay.
So.
And to answer your question, Waffle,
oh, yeah, on the arm.
Number 1, cool points. Number 2, well, just a little bit of lore, I guess. My character is supposed to be a sort of star dragon bat thing. I figure, you know what? Star and dragon.
Vesper drew a dragon, wanted it in the jacket. That's a simple. Yes. It's a simple explanation,
yeah, chat. Simple.
Now, Mott here redeems some bad life advice. If life gives me lemons, what should I do? It's simple. Nowadays, there's a shortage of chemically based eye cleansers. We call them eye bleach. So you go the natural route. You get your nice, shiny lemons from the supermarket, right? Slice them in perfect halves. You look up as if you were to apply eye drops and give it a good squeeze. And It may sting a bit, but it's nothing compared to the horrors and atrocities you have witnessed, all being washed away by life advice chat. I love the necklace. She has a necklace. Oh yeah, of course. It's the brooch.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. Although rather than being pinned to, say, my
Sorry.
jacket or any other article of clothing, I figured it would be best in a spot where it doesn't really move much. So, my neck.
Yep, hold on. I'm setting the focal distance to manual. There we go. Perfect. You know, a little depth of field really goes a long way when it comes to camera shots, Chan. That's the reason why portrait mode was made for phones. Cameron says shiny lemons. Who is taking hours out of their day, taking a rag and just shining lemons as if they are shoot. I may or may have not tried to polish an orange when I was younger. Curiosity. I ended up eating it before I got any significant results. Polish an orange. Did you know what I used to polish it with? Another orange. So I was just rubbing both of like my oranges on each other, and yeah. Was that before or after the break? After the break. I was rubbing my oranges together. What's wrong with that? I was bored. It was a plate full of unpeeled oranges. And then, you know what? What if I make them.
I know. I just...
Right? Look, man, when I was young,
you
I
were
was
something
curious.
else as a kid.
Yes! Have you never gotten curious? What would happen if I go rub two oranges together for a prolonged amount of time?
Yeah, I did get curious as a kid, but I didn't. I don't quite remember grabbing two oranges and rubbing them together.
Have you ever tried to peel a grape without ruining the shape? Right. Under the same vein. I was rubbing my oranges together. How lewd. What's lewd about rubbing my oranges together?
Like...
Have you ever tried to peel a carrot by rotating it around your teeth? Like, and then...
Yes, I just didn't...
Right?
Didn't, try to polish oranges with oranges.
Yeah, I also tried practicing juggling apples, but I did not have the dexterity to do so.
Let's be honest, kids just do a bunch of weird stuff because they're curious.
Cameron says suddenly Geb makes a campfire by rubbing two oranges together. Right? Like, hey, what do you know? Peeling grapes is fun, says Vincent. It is, especially when you get it perfect. You see like the bright flesh with like the veins and whatnot. Listen, I got curious as a kid what would happen if I set fire to the curtains and stick my finger in the powers. I did the latter part. I was explorative. I got a bunch of hairpins. I lockpicked, not on a lock, but in an electrical socket. The results were quite shocking, really. I cringe because I feel it hurts my teeth. Ooh. Isn't it the egg, the one, if you microwave and take it out, it turns into a fragment? That's true, with all the pressure building in. It's like, this. A DM from Fluffiola. A few metal slash rock in there, but I guess you could skip those. You like how there's a picture of a bike. Okay. Thanks, Fluffy. And yes, Fluffy, napping in VR, that's totally normal. You're closing your eyes, sleeping within the proximity of another person, waking up like it's normal, nothing unusual about it. The robots beside Vesper would disagree, says Marnage. Sticking their fingers into sockets are great, quite recharging, according to them. Art says I definitely shocked myself a lot as a kid, mucking about with electronics. Same here. My curiosity was rather destructive in terms of my toys. I got myself a little choo-choo train set, rails, and then a train which you could add droplets of oil so it would have like fake steam. I said, how do I make this run faster? It was running on, I think, 4D cells, the big fat ones. And then I said, hey, I can easily make this run with a 9-volt battery instead, in series. And yes, it did run, and yes, it did strip the gears and made the train derail, but it was fast. Too bad I had no concept of soldering or using electrical tape before. It was all bare copper that I just twisted and made sure they didn't touch. I, for one, know that if you make the wires cross, it turns into a fantastical thing called a heating element. Branded my fingertips far too many times. Sleepless VR doesn't combine too well for me, says Mitzi. Ah, well, spicy powers as well. I can't be the only kid that taste tests 9-volt batteries, right? You get the batteries in. The ooh, spicy. Press the wires to release the magic smoke. Yes. And then I found out that if I make enough coils, the more coils I add, the less prone the wire was to burning. And said, I was learning about electrical resistance on the spot. The leaking batteries, even if I know they were. Yes, that's true. That's how you check if they still have charge. Electrodes to the top. Hmm. Can you imagine, like, I wonder if my defender is dead. And then Beth just finds some alligator clips and like, yep, that's still charged. Except I think a welding arc would ensue where his tongue is. Ha ha ha. If it isn't cockroach. Greetings, friend. How are ya? Been a while. What's new? I like how you visit me every week on stream. Like, okay, oh, he's here. Just sat down by my couch with chips in hand. Lisa's about to speaker wires can also give you a shock despite being low voltage if you touch them to your teeth. Hmm. Oh wow. So many people trying to guess the password. Like Lemmings, Iris, and Gurgler type Shadow Guild. That is not the password. Bev says, I will not lick car battery. Though I have licked every liquid coming out of it to figure out what. Okay, so licking car batteries just gives you a shock, mildly numbing at best. But putting corrosives in your mouth, that is something I am going to be concerned about. I was so proud when I got the password. You need to pat yourself back in the brain. A new Zappy flavor drop, says Vincent. Bzzz. Fritastic. What other funny things have I taste tested? A worm. I was cute, but that's a story for another day. Mm. None of it was antifreeze, mainly oil and diesel. I heard that antifreeze was particularly attractive, hence animals like to lap it up or something. I wonder what Beth, Fluff, and Howl are up to. Hmm. Antifreeze, like car coolant. Yes, that one. You know, funny. Oops. Highlighter green liquid. VR chat, don't crash. Hmm. Watching stream. Oh wow, hi. Hello, you three. Hope you're having fun. Thank you for following. Here, the username of what would happen if I were to have far too many buldak noodles. Always, always. Fluffy with the magic numbers just floating up on the side of the screen. Always. Bev says, I mean, I did get in trouble for taste testing propylene glycol in front of a safety inspector. Will say, barrel should be labeled. What is this? What is this? That's high five. Ard says it is, yes. Ethylene and propylene glycol has a sweet flavor. Downside is it will kill you. But yeah, you have to be careful because animals and kids will be attracted to it. Animals and kids? So you just make ice cream out of it. Hmm. Uh oh. Internet. Ah. What's up with the internet? This thing. Pooping out. Cameron says, I know some wine distributors were sued and shut down because they were adding antifreeze to their wines. Funny enough, I only know this because Simpsons did an old ep about it. It was curious if it actually happened. Hashtag apparently it did. The Simpsons, the number one cartoon by Nostradamus himself. Hmm. It seems the hiccups are getting way, way worse, chat. If my stream stops, well, pardon me. How about we go focus on Vesper instead? Let's see if the hiccups still happen. So I lost this thing called Task Manager. Task Manager. Alright, tell me what's happening to my system. Nothing in particular. Hi chat, this is Vesper. In case you don't know who she is my mod and constant companion pretty much everywhere I go. Attached by the hip, yes. Also, she's a little bit camera shy, but trust me when I say that she does enjoy the compliments that you guys give. Hmm, I don't know if that's VR chat being VR chat or virtual desktop being funny, but oh, it's VR chat being VR chat. Gosh, why does it only happen whenever the camera's on my face? Yep, yep, yep. Every 5 seconds, I'm getting the freeze. Are you experiencing freezes by any chance, Vince? Or is it just me? It's just me. Oh dear. I wonder if that's my connection. Maybe sharks are chewing on the undersea cables again. I don't know. And it's only been 1 hour and 30 minutes. So quick. Do I need to rejoin?
I don't know. I haven't been experiencing those glitches.
Probably
I
something
announced
local.
you.
I might need a new router. I don't know. That's my best guess. I'm still on an old Wi-Fi 5 router, so. mm,
Us, we're in what, an Asian instance as well? Yeah. No, you're in a US
I
instance.
am. I'm in a US instance.
Assignment. I did not catch a word of that.
Oh. Let's see. I'm
But
going
you
to look
are
at my
in a
ping.
US West instance.
That's true. I have 190 ping. No, let's see if it spikes. Right? I'm just gonna keep on staying. Oh, and there's the freeze. I can see Steam, VR chat waiting.
The fun part is stream, where we are troubleshooting live.
How about you and I? Let's go. I'm gonna rejoin the world chat. Maybe that might fix my issues. Because it's getting really bad. I'm gonna make a new instance, but in a local, well, closer server. So, new instance. Invite plus. Oh, no, 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 no.
Oh, whoa, whoa.
Here's the JP invite. See you there, Vest. Be back, chat. The dark. Did you know, chat, if you drink raw eggs, there is a possibility of you getting salmonella? Voila, I'm back. No, there's still hiccups. It has not been solved. Oh well. Let's invite Vesper back. Sometimes I feel like rejoining the world will also fix my issues as art. Most of the time, yeah, that's how it's solved. Could it be an Airlink thing? Probably some virtual desktop shenanigans going on. But it's weird. It says VR chat. If it's a virtual desktop thing, my Steam should also be lagging a whole lot. If this persists, I am going to. Wow, that's bright. What we stay here? Like a decent enough background, anyway. Is it possible a device on your network is eating bandwidth? That's the funny thing. I have a router completely dedicated to only my wireless VR. I can try something a bit of a hassle, and that is restarting my VR chat, but not sure that'll solve anything. It's time to eat some tacos, Slits. You go eat your tacos. Wish I could have some. Delicious. Restarting VR chat will probably not fix it. True. Hello, Geb. Sorry for being late. Don't apologize, Nord. I'm just glad you're here. It's a bad place here. Oops. Gonna make our way outside again. Hopefully things are stable. A new world? No. Welcome to District Roboto. My VR chat is being spotty again. Oh well, what can I do? So hi. Oh. This one world can feel like many worlds. True. I have a hypothesis on how to fix it. But it's definitely not VR chat. Why? Whenever VR chat freezes, I can still see my overlays, my XSO overlay, all still in real time. So it means it's still transmitting data from my computer to my headset properly. And whenever the hiccups happen, the VR chat loading windows appears. I wonder what that could be. Okay, Vesp. Yeah, it's getting really bad. To the point of it being
Yeah, I'm
unusable.
good. You seem to be having quite a bit of.
Chat, I'm going to do the thing. I'm gonna restart VR chat. It's not recovering anymore. Borderline is about to crash, so we are going to fly the camera real close. I'll be back. Let me just restart my systems, okay? You won't hear Vesper for a while. So we exit VR chat. Darkness! Oh dear, oh my, what do we do? We're gonna launch Steam, we're gonna go back, VR chat, and then play. Hopefully this resolves the problems I've been having. I'll be back. This also means you're gonna see me calibrate her full body. I'm gonna do the funny T-pose. At least I can still keep you company while talking, right? Oh well. Stuff like this happens. Vesper says VR chat is next up. It seems it does not want to let me back into VR chat, so probably a VR chat routing issue to me. Yep, nada, not loading. Oh boy. Alright, let's exit VR chat again. Oh, there we go. Logging in. Be prepared for first person view, Geb. I know, Mitzi. I have Task Manager open in a separate window. Nothing spiking. Hi. Oh dear. Look at me all sunk into the ground. How embarrassing. Let's do this. As you can see, those are all my trackers, chat. Upside daisy, twist arms down a bit, and I'm back. Now, let's go. Uh-oh. Let's go back to District Roboto. Yes, I know. Gab needs a loading screen for these exact moments. I used to have one, Nord, but ever since I did the reformat, I have not been able to get those things back. Behavior, smoothed, look at me, camera mode, and stream. Hi. So... well, let's see if this hiccup still persists. The sucky thing is I have to reset up my camera for... well... for everything. But for now, let's go work our way back outside. Vesper should be with us soon enough. Upside daisy. Right. Back outdoors. Hey, it's the tuk tuk. Vlogger Geb. So we're going back to the sticker bottle. As you can tell, not everyone is as lucky as we are. Some are homeless. Sad state of affairs. Let's go back. Where's my spot? Was it here? So it was all just needing me to restart VR chat then. Okay, down we go. By the way, Geb, what FPS are you getting there? Right now? 70? What I'm streaming? Voila, we're back. Now I just need to set the other pins. Oh. So it means I gotta swap power banks real quick. Look at Vesper for now. That's a good partner covering up for me. Also, don't forget TV head on the left. There we go. She's the Geb loading screen, yes. Okay, let's set that there. Focus semi-auto. The same mode. There. Nice focus, man. Pin 3 is as usual. Semi-auto, behavior, pop, flying. What's that pose we had earlier? This one. I think it was this one there. Right, so we're back in business. Sorry about that, everyone. Stream hiccups, it happens. This time it was a VR chat. Geb, do you just carry around your stool? Yes, yes, I do. It's always in my person. You know, before I used to carry a couch. Yes, you heard me right. I used to have this indeployable couch. Think of it as something inflatable, complete with a coffee table, potted plants, books to read, and a rug, a carpet underneath. Don't forget the lampshade that emits light. It's an important bit. Now says fair. I carried around a beanbag chair for a bit. See? It's always nice having portable furniture about. Hmm. What's that angle I had earlier? Or was it here? I don't remember. Well, despite my little hiccup on stream, I'm surprised with the amount of people that's still here. The topic about Gary and Grandma sure was funny earlier, wasn't it, Vince? Now, let's see what's going on the Discord now that we're 1 hour and 46 minutes in. Going over at General, we have Mitzi and Ard and Beth active. Yes. They're talking about casino stuff. I've been to a casino about once. It was how should I say this? Uh, it was so expensive. Gosh, the sandwiches there were $10 for the clubhouse ones. Like what?
Big sandwich.
It was so expensive. Now, okay. Whoa, whoa, wow, wow, wee, wow. I see a certain D that ends with an S lurking. Hello, Derv. Yes, you caught me during one of my check who's lurking moments. Of course, Kakarot is. No, he's still there, surprisingly. Hello. Okay. Have you ever been to a casino, Vesp? Not even once, like with inquisitive parents. No, adventurous ones. Like, ah, no. I went once
I've
with
never
my.
really been tempted by a casino.
I mean,
Oh, okay, cool. People are losing money there.
I always
I'm
going to.
just gonna do my own thing, you know.
Yes. Whenever you're in a casino, the air is different. They try their best to make you not notice the time. You're not gonna see any clocks or whatnot, or even windows, so you're essentially trapped there. Well, based on the place I saw. And then there, let me tell you this, there were like bodyguards everywhere. The security was so intense. To be fair, the casino I've been to was a. How should I say this? I believe it was run by really high profile Chinese people, triads, and then aim for also the wealthy Chinese folk that are residing in my country. It's like, wow. Note, I did not go there by my own volition. It was more Like, hey, Gip, why don't you accompany us and we're gonna have free dinner? There's a ramen place. It's like, okay, sure, ramen place, you got me. I did not know the ramen place was just a small food stall inside the casino so they would have an excuse to play. Of course, I did not play. I'm not losing my money, no. You know how stingy I am. Best as I avoid casinos, I would lose all my cars. Bettering on red. All your cards. You see, Beth here is colorblind after all. Oh dear. I get nauseous in casinos, says Marnage. It's weirdly depressing. Uh, it is. Because once you lose, you're trying to chase the money that you've lost and you just end up sinking deeper and deeper and deeper. That's why the few that actually win, well, congratulations, take it home. I always see videos in social media in which when you win really well, the casino, the establishment is going to tell you you're done playing for the night. Something like that. Have you seen those videos, Vance?
I haven't actually, but then again, I live in the States. At least from the depictions of casinos I've seen, there's people going broke, a lot of gambling, like gambling addiction, alcohol. Not something I really want to be around, you know?
Same here. I mean, we've all heard stories about people losing everything when they go gamble, after all. But I guess they're after the thrill, you know? The thrill of making it big, that 0.1% of getting out of whatever deep muck of a life they have. Unfortunately, that makes them more miserable in the end, more often than not. But imagine, I have one viewer though. He got lucky. All he started with was $50. He ended up with a 5-digit payout. He's the one who gave me that super duper big ol' support drop, I think earlier this year. Imagine, you go in with $50 and then you walk out with enough money to buy the Africa Twin. Like, what? I can't imagine the ones who like set budgets of like $1 million or two. Like, okay, today I'm going to gamble, and here's $1 million. Win or lose, that's acceptable losses. The chances of winning are effectively null, says Lee. Right? That's true. It's sometimes more about the thrill than the money. Yeah, and they get so lost in the thrill. Flashy lights, random chants, chimes and sounds. You know, right? Right? When the slot machine goes this and that. You see the cherries, you see the sevens. Crypto, huh? Presenting my good old friend Howler. Full stop. You know what happened. Yes, you know what happened, Bess. I don't even take risk in stocks as Marnage. I just invest in safe options like S&P and let it grow. Yes, S&P, SPS, TPS, just things that are worthwhile. What's this? Lee says, I don't know, crypto has indexes and stuff, but it's dangerous. No lie there, it is. The path of the miner often is the safest because all you gotta do is pay the electric bill, and for some odd reason, the numbers in your bank account are increasing. Well, that was before, at least. The good old 1080 Ti I had that paid for itself. What's this? Going over a general again, Striker says, so how often do you all have your hangouts and VR chat? I only have Fluffy and Axel on my list at the moment. Had a wonderful time the last 2 times I chilled with you all, and I'm interested in interacting more like that. My VR chat right now Reed is like my friend anchor that I'm attached to the hip. Ah, look at Striker wanting to make friends, connect with the community. It's like, these people seem really fun and nice. Oh. The reason why I'm not holding community hangouts more often is because my community seems to be doing their own thing nowadays, and I mean it in a good way, right? You guys are making connections, being friends. And besides, my social battery, as you've observed, is very, very little. What's this? Jay Satic says, I never thought I would have a furry stream on in the background while working on a jam site. Well, hi there. I'm Gib. I'm not your atypical furry. You're welcome. Can I even be called a furry with what I am? Shouldn't I just be a anthropomorphized dragon or blizzard? No, I'm not a dragon. Vesper's the dragon. She just has her wings stuck out. What's this? Sherbert Creamsicle says, wow, damn, I want some ice cream right now. Forgive me if I'm the 80th person to ask, but how long did it take for you to learn English? And do you have any tips for people learning a language? Oh, wow. Language learning tips. One, I guess it's because I've been practicing English since I was a child. It was the preferred language of choice despite it not being my mother tongue in the family. I was the weird one. My family would speak in Tagalog or Bicol, one of our dialects. And then I would try my best to reply in English because I like how English sounds. and it is to learning a language. Find something entertaining and funny you want to mimic. For example, I'm very keen on learning the Chinese language, right? Why? Because I see all the funny racist reels from South Park and the stuff on Instagram, or the funny what do you call this? The funny generalizations of the Asian accent, like Uncle Roger and whatnot. But as for learning a language, I guess it's just like anything that you wish to retain in memory. Application, practice. Find somebody you could practice the words with. I find learning through a digital approach, for example, Duolingo, sure you'll remember, but you don't practice the subtleties of pronunciation, the body language that is accompanied with the sentence, the phrases. What you need to do to learn a language is to interact with locals speaking it. And they have to be in a situation doing said language. For example, you're talking to a trader, right? You know the basics. Yes, no, how much, okay, cheap, expensive, right? And then you're going to observe how they simplify their language for you to understand. They're going to do simple gestures like, oh, no, 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 cheaper, more, or and whatnot. But you don't see any of that when you learn things online. Okay, you just learn things by books. That's my take on it, at least. Hope that helps. Hmm. The N80 Ti is a beast. Absolutely. Gold standard. The legend. What inspired you to start streaming? One, the possibility of meeting new and interesting people that I could befriend. Two, I wanted to showcase the little skills that I learned along the way. I've been through three previous iterations of myself already, all from me garnering knowledge either from the lessons given by other people who are good in 3D, for example, or from things I learned by myself to trial and error. It's like a little game of show and tell. It's fun. It's nice being able to drive around town in a car you built with your own hands. I'm not saying I built this by my own hands. No, I just kit masters, mind you. I'm not that skilled to make this avatar of this fidelity. That's why thank you, Tokyo Zilla and Albert. Get Vesper. She's another application of practice. I handle her heavy, but I think she looks great. It's our own personal take on the Hyanid. Now we've made her into something like a dragon bat. Second, well, ever since I was young, I would find myself with only myself as company. So I would do what I'm doing right now in front of a mirror or when there is nobody in the room, pretending I'm in scenarios, talking with myself or whatnot. And I guess that's where the whole being able to do this naturally stem from. My family was weirded out by that fact. Imagine somebody taking a shower. You hear the shower, shh, and then you hear this talk. So, what kind of car would you want to buy, sir? Of course, I want the white one. The white one, but can you afford it? I mean, of course, me of all people. Gosh, do I really need to break out my wallet and show you? Gosh, no, sir. Please, I believe in you. But of course, we have a policy that the flagship models are something that the customers are not able to sit in. I hope you understand. So, imagine that my uncles are just passing by the bathroom and hearing that while I'm taking a shower. so, so yeah. I'm glad that worked out to my own benefit. So yeah, now you know a little bit more about myself, Jan. When I was in high school, people called me autistic, or it's a very loose term. A what do you call that again? You're a little weird. I can't remember. It starts with an E. Where you have peculiar tastes or standards, but you're unbothered by it. It's not extra. It starts with an E.
It's not extravagant.
No, it's not extravagant. The other one, where like eccentric. There we go. Eccentric. Yeah.
Oh, yep.
There we go. Eccentric. I mean, we were not taught what autism or eccentricism was. It's just that Geb is a strange one. He constantly talks to himself and does theatrics. Then again, I always volunteered for like plays and little demonstrations in class. It was fun. I love making people laugh and smile while I'm on stage. That's the thing. Unfortunately, I don't have enough scale to enter Broadway and whatnot, unlike my peers, so well, here we are. It's okay. It was a career path I never really thought about. I just enjoyed doing what I was doing. So acting, I guess, Chan. It's something I enjoy doing. Though I never appeared really on camera, aside from that one time when my mom brought me to a talk show, but that's a story for another time. It's just looking forward to your One Dragon show on Broadway in 2030. Ah, Gab's Comedy Night. It's like, black people, am I right? And then I get booed, tomatoes are thrown at me, and then. I can't be racist, I'm a minority too. Chinese people. Ah, yes. That's true. Chat, by the way, I'm predominantly Chinese. I know I'm half Chinese and half Filipino, but my family practices Chinese customs and whatnot, and yes, demonetized. Demonetized. Black people, am I right? Look at my skin. Look at it closely. I'm not black, chat. I'm a pale yellow entity IRL. But in all seriousness, me being Filipino, we like poking fun towards what people from the West would call racist. To us, it's just jokes. Look for any Filipino. They're gonna, yes. Say you're German. Uh, they always like to poke fun at other people for the fact, no, for the point of making everybody laugh in the room. Kind of like the Balkans. And yes, we just like, yeah, our humor is mildly abrasive. You can't call yourself a minority as Chinese. East Asia has the biggest share of the. That's true, but you're right. Fluffy, Fluffy knows what I'm talking about. Ah, yes, Vesper, the pretty white lady.
Yeah, he knows for a fact I'm pale as a sheet ghost.
Vesper is really pale. Not super pale, like laboratory pale, but yes, really, really pale. What is that sticky stuff? Oh, it's the mango juice. It's spilled. Ugh. Anyway. It's so quick time passing by because we're already at 2 hours and 7 minutes. Gosh, oh golly gosh.
Saw it. 12. It's not a 22.
Mm-hmm.
Extreme.
Hold on, I'm reading general. Remember, if they're on red, don't bother. If they're on yellow, bother at your own risk. But if they decline your invite requests, there's really nothing you can do. It's a request in the first place. If they're green or they're on blue, then I'm sure they're seeking company. Mm. The oppressor is. Yes, I am reading. Mm-hmm. I see you guys. Anyway, there I am checking Discord mid-stream, chat. Shouldn't you be sleeping, Mitzi? Shouldn't you be sleeping, Mitzi? Yes. What was that gift? Oh, that was from Attack on Titan. Yes. The KFC Titans, you know. What? 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 I just said KFC Titans. It's 11 a.m. I gotta be working. Oh, well.
Oh, Jeanette.
When the owner is the one who needs to be moderated. Hey, at least I check up on you guys, right? Gosh, oh golly gosh. Hmm. 28 short minutes remaining. What is this really sad sounding thing? And some more people joined the server. Gosh, it's been what, 5? We now have Vincent Mott. Oh dear. None of them were able to guess the password though. High casualty rate. Disk. The spicy pillow in my phone grow a bit, says Axel. You need to let your intrusive thoughts win. So you just pry it open ever so slightly, Axel. You get a long hypodermic needle and just. Right! That's plain and simple. What are the risks? The music was very Casablanca. Oh, it sure was. Recently, that's what's been invading my TikTok timeline. All of these spa videos involving nails and things on the face, which I'm not gonna mention. It's, yeah.
Yeah, no, not pleasant to run across when you're trying to eat. So that's why I have not been really using TikTok in the first place anyways.
I mean, it's. Yeah, that's probably what British butter is. You just. Like, you know. Yeah. Imagine getting your lemon juice straight from the lemon itself, just having it there in your mouth, puncturing a small hole in it. Right? Mmm. Not this again. Like a little talk over at Complex 7, yes. Pinches battery. Breaking news in XYZ country. Today, a young person's bloated battery caused a gigantic explosion. Did you know that if you actually drain your battery beforehand, you're not going to get thermal runaway? Because thermal runaway, the big fire, comes from stored energy. So you deplete it first, you get your battery down to like 5% or less. Not too low, or else it probably won't charge again. And then you go poke the hole on the battery, let the gas vent, and then you think about it. How can a battery start a fire if the stored energy is depleted in the first place? I used to deal with batteries a lot, chat, and I've had my fair shares of going. The 18650 cells turn into fireworks. Overcharging, over discharging. But then again, take everything I say with a grain of salt, okay? It's still at your own risk. Did you drain your battery by stabbing it? No, the stabbing came after. But we call them puffed cells. Normally, life 4 cells. They come in little silvery pouches, right? They have 2 tabs, positive and negative, and then when they swell because they overly discharge, they puff up. If you go drain the battery first, you use a discharger, for example, get them below minimum voltage of around, what's this? 3.7 is for lithium ion, somewhere low. And then you go vent the gases, you're safe. And we never hear from Axel again. Was a bad idea to watch stream when I had a Zoom meeting coming up, says Arn. The video makes too distracted and I ran late. Luckily, no one seems to have noticed. Yes. It seems Striker has experience with lithium polymer packs. The great old lipo. The most volatile of all. Uh-oh. And thus the VR chat hiccups are starting again. I wonder if that's a server thing. Does this mean I have to go end soon? Probably. How about this, chat? In order to have a smoother streaming presentation, I probably have to go skedaddly do for now, and then I'll see you again Wednesday. Oh wait, no, it is Wednesday. It's Thursday 2 a.m. Next stream day, which is Friday midnight. Day after tomorrow. VR chat is stifling your creativity, right? Mm. 4 weeks into classes, people are still taking my seat, says Axel. Give them the dirtiest glare. And Vincent Mott finally made it in. Congratulations. Vincent, I suggest you make your introductions first, or everybody else that you're chatting with in general are going to bonk you. And if they don't, well, this lovely lady before me will. You see those cute eyes? Last thing you'll see before you're dead.
You have 24 hours from when you first join. Because if you don't, I'm gonna have to boot you. And, well, if I have to do that a second time, I don't have the patience to keep over and over, okay?
So mean. No, chat. It's not me doing the booting, it's her, okay? So I relegate all removal of members' duties to her, not me. Unless I catch somebody red-handed doing something not so entertaining in chat. And yes, just anyway. My mid-level intellect figured that well, your mid-level intellect needs to go write your introductions. Oh, my butt does not have blood flowing on it. Oh my god, I need to move positions. There we go. Yeah. Hello, Gab says cool much. Hello, cool much. Unity do that. And don't forget to follow the format that's pinned 100%. Right. Now, let's see who's streaming. Come on, Firefox. Finish your update and then show me who's live. Yes? No? Dispatcho. I've had to send a snake with glasses.
Too shy to talk to anyone for like the longest time.
That's something I gotta do, the treadmill. The treadmill streams. I gotta stream and I gotta be fitter. There's a treadmill for sale. That's, I think, $300. I may need to look into that.
If it's like one of those VR treadmills that were advertised in Popcorn Palace, it
No, not that.
It-
Like
from
Like,
what I've seen,
the legit normal treadmill, the one with an incline, not the omnidirectional ones. Don't worry.
yeah. Because from what I've heard, the omnidirectional ones they tend to break pretty easily and stop working in general.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention the falling hazard that it can be sometimes as well.
Like, I don't know how it works, but I
Yes.
could assume it's a bit of a falling hazard.
Oh
Despite
yes,
the little harness thing that it's got too.
it most definitely is. Sounds like a sounds like a slight hazard. Yes. 51.5k, over halfway there. Oh my goodness, somebody's gonna redeem the MAOW. I wonder if Beth is going to get it by Christmas, right? What if this Christmas I increase the channel multiplier? And the gift of giving, and then I unlock some of the other redeems, like the bean cam and the old stuff. Just for that month. Hmm. Why, thanks, bot. Yeah. I can increase the multiplier, I believe, here in the Twitch. Like how quickly you earn points and whatnot. That's it. Once I get the bike, the first thing I'm gonna buy after is a treadmill. So you're gonna see me like do like, hey chat, yeah, what's up? It's been 15 minutes. Thanks for joining me in my stream. I'll catch you the after tomorrow. It's like, I'm like immediately out of breath. Yeah. Yes, that's true. Tier 3 sub. Oh my goodness. F with the power. What do you think, chat? Would you want to see me doing just walking exercise streams instead of me sitting around? The treadmill would be funny, yes. It would. I would have like my gym outfit and whatnot. I think everybody got used to my coat so much. How would I even look without it? So it's back down. It's like coatless. So I have an under the dress thing. In case you yes, hi chat. This is me without the coat. Lots of scales. Let's put it back. Up. I'm not naked, Howler. I'm not like you. Geb panting would attract. I. Okay, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I was about to say.
No, but 100%. I've been studying this for the past week, and I will most definitely purchase a treadmill once funds are there. The bike first, though. What's this? We have a raid from Ghost Starshine with a party of 25. A spoopy raid. Isn't Halloween over? But hi, chat. I'm Gab. Welcome. Did you have a good time with Ghost here? What are you up to? Gab, you gotta be sponsored by Xiaomi. I know it's so expensive. It's the Xiaomi treadmill that I was looking at last night, but it's like $400 to $600. I'm gonna get it though, 100%. After everything. What's this? Ghost is in VR chat, so he may take a bit to respond. You focus on VR chat. And chat, who is part of Ghost chat, if you guys gotta skedaddly do, I'm sure you're tired, and especially you, streamer. I won't hold it against you if you go. Thank you for the raid. I hope you're doing great. No, I don't sell cereal, chat. It's a lot, yes, says Lee. It's so probably cheap by treadmill stands. I know, I really want one. But because my landlord took my money, that 400 that I was actually going to put into my treadmill fund, the zap. I mean, yes, Beth kind of mugged my landlord and gave my money back, but do I buy a treadmill and make my bike goal even further away, or do I accept the delay and get something that will help with my overall health and provide new entertainment for you? It seems the choice is fairly obvious, isn't it? Great. Man. Expenses. So many expenses. Howdy, hey, Gib. Hey, cheating. Monies. Alright. How about this? If by some miracle we have this filmed before the end of the month, I'm going to create a teeny tiny bar for the Funny Treadmill Fund, and you guys are gonna help me shop for it on the Discord. Yes. Man, that mean I need to buy rubber shoes. Is that- Oops. My cable yanked on my stick. Make sure the treadmill won't have any static electricity building up. Static electricity? What's gonna happen? So you're like, hey chat, we are like 30 minutes in, and then it seems my tracking is starting to act funky. Ah. A funny treadmill fun. No, I'm just gonna put it on my throne. So it can be there. When it happens, it happens. But I look forward to actually doing little, yes, treadmill streams. While Vesper just relaxes and sits on her pretty chair. It's just gonna squat the entire time. Squat goal 1,000 per stream. 1, 2. You gotta get those Chun Li ties. Hmm. Just remember to keep cool while working out. Quest pros don't like moisture. 100%. I'm gonna wear the funny workout headband that I used to have. It was what I was using when I was still part of Soaring Fitness. So, yes. Hello, Lance. Yap. It means I'll be seeing Litz in a bit because I actually have to go end stream pretty much now because it's 2 hours and 32. But I shall extend a little bit because we have a raid. As courtesy to not leave chat hanging. Yes, I shall keep you company for a bit longer. Vespers starting to get bored. Gab, you spoil us. Thank you. It's okay. You know I like you guys a lot anyway. Yes, she's very chill. Anywho.
I mean, streams chill, so I don't need to sit like a lady.
Hey, Vespers, I dare say, much of a tomboy. Am I incorrect?
Not incorrect.
Not incorrect.
I don't really wear dresses, skirts, or anything really, anyways. Even when I did as a kid, my mom would get mad at me because more often than not, I'd have dirt at least somewhere on my person.
Okay.
So, yeah. Dress shoes and all that getting scuffed up with mud, dirt, and such, it drove her insane.
Yes. He's I like that she's not a dainty girl, chat. I very much prefer how Vesper is compared to most. I just realized that she's sitting on stacked chairs. Here you go. I'm gonna give you a better look at V. As you can tell, yes, she is very much enjoying the stacked chairs, chat. There, like the view. Adjusting focus, and there you have it. How do you set up Vesper's mic? I don't know. I mean, Vesper just uses it. Are you using the Quest Pro or the
Yeah, I'm using the Quest Pro mic because there's literally no difference between my Fifine headset and, well, the Quest Pro microphone.
Wait until you get your super secret headset that'll arrive. It's the headset that I use too for streaming.
It's supposed to arrive tomorrow.
Aha! Then perchance on the next stream we're going to get an Enhancio Vesper. Hello, Dark Wolf. I am doing alright. Nothing fancy going on my end, really. What's this? Don't mind me, chat. I'm just looking at stuff. Oh. Right. Anywho. Let's go back to. Thanks for the stream, Gam. Hello, Scara. Wow. Okay, Marnage, you're making me go. Go ahead and advance. Let's see. Well, don't worry. I'll be out of your sight soon enough. I'll be going soon enough, in a bit. So, how about we make Vesper over here go say her goodbyes first before me?
Alright.
Oh, hold on. Let me fix the camera. Focus on your face. Oops, there we go.
That's my pause. Alright.
Oh my god, the focal distance.
Bye, chat. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and make sure to sleep plenty. Bye-bye.
There you go. Say bye-bye to Vesper chat.
And
And-
totally not stalling.
I'm not stalling. So, I miss being downtown. I feel refreshed thanks to all the sleep. As you may notice, my conversational quality the stream has improved dramatically compared to prior streams. The power of getting enough sleep. I think Mitzi needs to take a page from my notes. I am going to go. I am a super low social battery person, so raids, they're probably something I'm going to do some other day, not today. And yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, chat. I'll see you soon enough, don't worry. It's been lovely. I'll see you later. Beth Waffle Blue Striker, Skyright, Cheaty, Fluffy, of course, Litz, Knox, and who else did I miss? Hope you have a good day. Yeah, of course. Thanks. We'll probably hit you up later if you want to play some aliens and whatnot. I will go linger in VR chat for a while. Let's see what I can explore here. All I remember is there's a certain somebody I'm waiting for that needs to hop online soon so I can go into exploring. Wonder who that is. I'm certain Anonymous. No, you can't, Scar. I know. But yes, I had fun today. I hope you had as much fun. And we got a raid. Yes. See you too, Nord. Well, without further ado, I might end up stalling again. I need to save up battery for today. I'll see you on Friday, okay? Ciao.